Pete DeBoer was let go this morning. And I just thought you guys would find this interesting because over the last 3 years that he's been coaching the Dallas Stars in the regular season, of any team in the NHL, Dallas is number 1 in total points.
Oh, my God.
In the playoffs, they are number 3 in terms of success. Wins are, 29, 34 for the Oilers, 41 for the Panthers in the last 3 years. The Dallas Stars have 29, and Pete DeBoer is finished.
Wow.
How many losses on that record?
27.
Yeah, I think that's relevant.
Does that lead the way?
Well, he sucked last year against Edmonton, and then again this year. So you'd think there's a sample size. Jesse might have a point.
He can't get over the hump. Like,
no, he can't.
This is his entire career.
Well, and he completely sewered himself with the franchise goalie.
Yeah.
Which one's easier to replace? You, man.
Yeah.
You. Definitely you. And did I call what ended up happening or what?
That he would stick around through locker clean out day?
Pete felt like talking. He felt like talking.
Rick talking.
He
knew he was gone.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, but wait. No, I think there's a chance Pete DeBoer is still around.
Okay.
There's a chance. Or they would have handled it differently. But he wanted to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to dig himself out of what he said about Ottinger. And I said, if I'm Jim Nill, I'm like, no. You show up to locker cleanup and you want to talk, you go ahead and talk. Mm-hmm. We're going to put you at the podium. We're going to put you in front of the mics, the cameras. Go ahead and talk. Fill your boots to your heart's content. And he did. And they made him do that. And then a few days later, they fired him. And like, we got a group chat going, like Drew's in there like, oh, he could go to the Ducks. Oh, no, that's Quenneville. He could go to the Kraken. Oh, no, that's Lambert. He could go to the
Chicago.
Bruins. Oh, no, that's Sturm. Chicago. Who did Chicago get?
They got Blashill.
Blash.
No,
oh, my
the
God.
Bruins job was the last job that was open.
Yeah.
Sturm got it. Yeah.
And the Rangers. Oh, no, they got Sullivan. Is there an open coaching job in the NHL?
The Bruins job was the
Oh, yeah, that was the last one. Sorry, I was in the middle of stuff. I was talking while drinking my 3 drinks.
Do you mind repeating that for anybody that missed it?
I believe the Bruins
What was the
job
last
was
one?
the last open job.
Wyshynski said, maybe this is only interesting to me, but it is interesting that they fired him today after all the jobs are gone.
Oh, they absolutely shafted him.
Well, and apparently, according to multiple reports, the players, you're going to be blown away by this, were pissed about how that was handled.
Oh, yeah?
And the comments, and really what made it worse, it wasn't just the Ottinger situation, because you can say, like, there are people actually tweeting me right now going, this is a nothing burger, like that game situation, like a goalie's allowed to be pulled.
That?
Yeah, you know what's hilarious about
he's
that
allowed
is-
to be pulled.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the only thing that happened. You're right.
Well, 100%.
You go to work in the morning, right? Oh, my God. I know everyone hates you. I know everyone at that job hates you. Sorry. What? Adam, go ahead.
I guess the point is that whether or not you think it's a big deal, the Stars did.
Yes.
And they are, again, this is the Stars. This is the same Stars team whose ownership called out Ben and Sagan for being bad. Jim Nill has
Years
lost
ago.
it to reporters.
We were in the Virgin Radio studios when they did that.
Yeah.
That was over half a decade ago.
Jim Nill has shit talked Sagan and Ben too. Mm-hmm. And they're still there. Mm-hmm. And like this is totally something you can get by, but I think the press conference afterwards was like, yeah, well, we had a sample size and he sucks. Okay, well, I think we're done here. And and I think I think that this is a guy who, if you look through his whole career, with the exception of the Sharks, he literally lasts 3 years everywhere he goes. Dallas Stars 3 years, Vegas Golden Knights 3 years, Sharks kind of like 4.5 or 3.5, 4.5.
Is Pete DeBoer?
Devils were 3.5. Florida Panthers, his original team, 3.
Is Pete DeBoer the final boss of John Tortorella's?
He might.
We've been saying this is the John Tortorella path. This is the Pete DeBoer path.
It's also the Laviolette path. Alan Vigneault had.
No, he's been to a final and won a cup.
Well, Pete DeBoer's been in the finals.
Well, and won a cup.
He didn't win a cup.
Didn't win a cup.
Never know.
No. Yeah. He did.
Berube, count your days. Craig Berube, count your days.
He's been to two cup finals, the Devils one and the Sharks one.
Oh, the Sharks one.
Yeah.
Right.
He was their coach. That's right. That's right.
That was
Lost in 6
right?
both
That's
times.
when that Leaf greats
Yes.
Daniel Winnick and Roman Polak joined the Sharks to help them get them over the hump.
Oh, that's Adam. That's Nick Spaulding erasure.
Oh, I forgot about Nick.
Nick Spaulding.
You know what? They
original.
probably, considering how not deep they were at center, they probably should have kept Nick Spaulding.
Yeah. And he was like the one Leaf stoked to be there.
Yeah, he wanted to be here.
I remember that on, it was beginning of the season media day. And everyone knows. It was so funny, like finally being allowed at Leafs media day. And everyone knows mission number 1, priority numero uno is finish last.
Yes.
Absolutely everyone knows.
I think it. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and how did Lou Lamoriello end that day? Yeah. Letting us interview everyone, letting everyone take their pictures, and then trading 5 of them. One of them being
Carter Verhaeghe. For Michael Grabner, who scored a goal from his ass. I remember that. Off his ass.
Oh, what was the
He couldn't score for the Leafs. Anyway, let's not. So with Pete DeBoer gone, and a lot of coaching positions taken, Dallas is one of the most attractive coaching markets, not just because it's tax-free, not just because it's beautiful, not just because
there should be a rule.
The team is awesome, but because there is a beautiful opportunity here with a well-built team to kind of change sort of what what the direction is. And I'm curious now with all these coaches off the board, they might have screwed DeBoer, but they might have screwed themselves. Because not even David Quinn is available. Like you can't. Like he's joining New York.
That's bizarre.
They couldn't have known how the season would end 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
right. Like all the coaching vacancies, like they kind of wrapped up earlier this week and yesterday, with Sturm. So like it's just bad timing for the Stars themselves. They could have made the decision, I guess, last Friday or last Saturday, last weekend when he actually lost. But like to them, this is just we have to move on. And there's good coaches out there.
Oh,
like this to me just illustrates how replaceable these guys are.
Yeah.
Like, who cares how successful Pete DeBoer is at almost getting over the hump? Like there's a million guys out there who can fill that role, and there's good coaches.
Who are they? I'm serious. Unless you're going to try to peel David Carl out of University of Denver. Like, I'm not. Who is available?
I'm still so surprised, given how his tenure went, that Jay Woodcroft doesn't have a job.
Well, that's an interesting one.
I'm so surprised. He's the name. Every time there's a vacancy, I'm like, there's Jay. And no one wants Jay, and I don't get it.
You know what's weird about Jay, and they were talking about this on the CJ show, is that he hasn't shown up as an assistant either. And I think it's maybe because he's holding out to be a head coach. But the way it ended in Edmonton, with them being in like last place and then Chris Knobloch coming in and then they immediately go to the 2 straight Stanley Cup finals.
Okay.
I feel like, would that not, as a general manager, guys, give you a little pause?
100%. Yes.
But when he took over for Tippett, he was a breath of fresh air.
Yes, he took over like new coach bump to the max on friggin' steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very surprised he hasn't gotten a job. I'm trying to think of like this is the gold medal race for bridesmaids. Like
yeah.
Who are all the coaching candidates who are always mentioned but they never get the job? Like I'm just trying to compile that list in my head. Woodcroft.
Well, I think who was the guy that just recently he coached in LA, he coached in Edmonton, he coached in San Jose. What's his name?
Todd Nelson?
No, not Todd Nelson.
Coach. When did he coach in San Jose?
Pretty recently. No, LA recently before Jim Hiller took over. Who was that?
Wasn't that
the Leafs interviewed him too?
Was he a head coach anymore?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Todd McClellan?
Todd McClellan.
He's in Detroit.
He's in Detroit.
He's in Detroit.
Oh yeah, he's coaching Detroit as of January. That's right.
Yeah.
And they went on that little bump, and then they continued to be Detroit.
Who's buddy? Who? Lalonde.
They won like 9 games. Lalonde.
What's it? I don't even remember his first name.
Derek
Lalonde. Thank you.
Yes.
Like
the most electric member of the Sportsnet panel.
Yeah.
You're like, shit, I'm here for Lalonde.
Like Dan Heinout just got hired by the Lightning as a assistant.
You know who would be perfect to coach Dallas? Is Jim Montgomery. And I know he's St. Louis, whatever, but like coaching style.
Oh, Drew
Jim
Bannister
Montgomery would have been amazing. Drew Bannister?
He's the guy who Jim Montgomery replaced.
I know.
I don't know. Listen. The whole point of this was, hey, wait a sec. There aren't really many coaching candidates or openings.
Right.
So who do we got? There is a grand total of 1 opening right now, and the names are lacking.
Yeah.
I the names thing is like I'm not in the coaching circles and up on all the AHL guys who could get a jobs. I don't think like it's that big of a deal because
you don't think so?
They have the pick of the litter. Like there's a million good coaches who never get these opportunities because the same 33 guys are always recycled. They're going to come up with a name and he's going to be a decent head coach.
I hope you're right, Jesse. I hope this is an opportunity for them to go like somebody not established.
Yeah.
Somebody like different.
I don't think the three of us sitting here know the names that they should be looking at.
Yeah, because I don't know these NCAA
You know, so
guys.
like, I feel like it's a fruitless endeavor to try and pick out who they're gonna hire.
Okay.
Unless it's a Woodcroft, who
Yeah.
I think kind of an obvious pick, you know?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Woodcroft. Like Dallas they have spent their money oddly on defense.
Yes.
And it's pretty clear their right side needs work. And I mean, this is a pretty special team still, but they could do some tweaking and improving and whatever. You need somebody who's going to be able to manage because you got Cece, Labushkin, like it's like you got some names back there.
Dumba.
Yeah.
Is Dumba locked up?
I think he's got one more year. And I don't think like Dumba's stock has fallen precipitously, which is crazy to think.
So
think about where he was 5 years ago in Minnesota and how valuable people had him. And then he was traded for like a 5th round pick to Tampa at the last deadline. And
yeah. Now we might be severely
Dumba 375
next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
my God.
And Labushkin is 3.25.
So we might be overthinking this. Steve Spott is one of their assistant coaches, and actually, if you go to the Dallas Stars page, like coaching staff page, Steve Spott is listed first. Pete DeBoer is already not on it. So Steve Spott, I believe he's been a head coach in the league.
Yep.
He's been a head coach everywhere. He was a head coach in Major Junior. Alain Nesreddine is an assistant coach. I know he's been around. Misha Donskov, I believe, only got there this past year, if I'm not mistaken. I would throw Steve Spott's name in there.
That's interesting. I mean, why wouldn't you interview him? I look at the Stars only have $5 million to spend this offseason.
Never been a head coach in the NHL, by the way.
No? Oh, okay. He was assistant with the Leafs, assistant with the Sharks. He's been an assistant for a lot of time.
Yeah, head coach of the Marlies.
Marley, maybe that's right. Steve Spott was head coach of the Marlies?
Yeah, 13-14.
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, that's why I don't remember.
Hey man, you probably covered that team.
13-14, no.
You didn't?
No, not in person? No, maybe I did.
Imagine there's an interview with you and Steve Spott out there floating around on the internet and you don't even remember it.
No. Marley's coaches I've spoken to, Greg Gilbert, Sheldon Keefe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Stars. It's going to be interesting. Apparently, they were already looking at like, how do we move on from guys like Dumba? CC's a UFA.
How the hell are you trading that? How are you trading? What you said? Dumba's making 3.75.
Yeah.
Come on. I don't know. Listen. Okay.
You got a great top three. Heiskin and Lindell Harley is freaking incredible.
It's absolutely impossible to say this without sounding insulting. So here goes. Gavin McKenna is available next year's draft. There are going to be some players you're going to look at and you're going to go, there's no way any team would want that. And there are going to be some teams who absolutely want to be at the bottom of the league next year who are like, actually, you might be surprised. You might be surprised. You know what? I'll trade for that absurd deal.
One of these days, we got to do a segment or we should do a solo video or something where it's like the most likely to tank for McKenna. What are the teams who are most likely to tank for McKenna? Because you got to think like the guys, the usual suspects, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, the Ducks, those guys aren't trying anymore to do that. They're trying to get better.
Well,
I mean, maybe not the Blackhawks.
It's kind of fascinating because the cap is shooting up for the first time in a very long time. But there's real incentive to be bad. If you were one of the bad teams this past season and you don't think you can have this miracle comeback in one season, I don't know, what's the point in being active in this year's free agency? Do you see a ton of names out there you like? How many sexy names are out there?
There's a few.
There's a few. Are you getting any of them?
Probably not. Unless you're overpaying.
Unless you're grossly overpaying. And it's also not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Are any of those teams, those lottery teams, a Marner or a Bennett or a Tavares away? If you signed all three, would you even make the playoffs? Some of those teams?
Not Chicago. Anaheim would.
Yeah, okay, so you'd make it.
I'm bullish on Anaheim, by the way.
I know
think
you
they're
are.
going to be great.
You're thirsty for the Ducks.
I am. I think they're going to be spectacular.
Anyway, it's a very interesting year, and I want to say this started with a head coach discussion.
No, but we're just chatting, just having a chat.
So I would say Steve Spott, number one candidate, followed by
is
a tie between Drew Bannister and Jay Woodcroft.
if a team like, let's say the Predators, I don't know what they're going to do, but let's say they go into this season and Barry Trotz goes on 102.5 the game in Nashville, Tennessee, and he says, we're here to make the playoffs. And then they come out and they sputter again and Brunette's gone. Is Pete DeBoer a guy that takes over a struggling squad, which management believes should be in the playoffs?
Andrew Brunette feels like one of those guys who, for some reason, is not in the Brotherhood. I could.
I mean, he got fired after having a Jack Adams season.
I could see him getting canned right
That
now.
was the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, considering
Yeah,
considering
it
how
seemed to work
things
out.
went after that. I think
I
Pete
could see him
DeBoer,
getting canned right now.
he won't be unemployed for very long. He's the guy who's sitting out there for the first team in September or October that gets off to a poor start. And
Right.
like we're all talking like, okay, this is Pete DeBoer's next team.
We've already talked about Jim Montgomery.
Mhm.
It's a copycat league. What if teams are like, beat it, and they fire their own guy and they bring in Pete?
And that could happen too, 100%. You know, just like it was so ruthless to do that when they did that in St. Louis, you know, and
it was 1,000,000% the correct
and it was the
decision.
right call. That's
Yeah,
the
it
thing,
was.
because Doug Armstrong doesn't care. He's just about winning, and he says,
Yep.
if there's a better guy out there than the guy I got, I'm going to go get him.
Vegas with trading Fleury. Oh my God, assholes! Immediately win the cup.
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned the flurry of it all. Like the fact that DeBoer's ending here in Dallas mirrors that ending in Vegas. It's weird in the way that he's going out here.
Is that the word Alan would use?
Yeah.
Star goaltender, you make unhappy. Everyone's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
They relieve you of your duties
Yeah.
because they're going to choose the guy who that is the guy on the ice who you did wrong.
We could save so much time here, Jesse. we need to text Alan, ask him where Louis Domingue is signing next year, and that is where Pete DeBoer is coaching.
They say
That's how
that
it's gonna
Jesse.
work.
They say that history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Yes.
and it certainly does in this instance.
He's
Here's
got
the
a
thing.
problem with goalies.
If you've got a goalie, like if your team hires Pete DeBoer as a goalie, you're like putting your armor on, right? That's one of those coaches. You're like, oh God, this is gonna be tough.
I'd love to know how good Ed Belfour's career stats would be without Mike Keenan.
Oh,
Did you allow 3 goals tonight? Yoink.
I would love to know how anybody's career stats would be without Mike Keenan. Talk
And
about
yoink.
the biggest fraud in NHL coaching history.
And yet,
fraud had good teams. Man, that St. Louis Blues should have 5 Stanley Cups right now in the 90s.
he's
You
done
look
something.
at that roster. Come
He's
on,
done something no coach has ever done.
fucked up the St. Louis Blues of the 90s. Crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. What else?
Actually, that's true. It was just him. He's the only coach to ever win a Stanley Cup and Gagarin Cup in the KHL.
Cool.
And the reason he had the opportunity to win the Gagarin Cup is because he was persona non grata in the NHL. He should still be in the rotation, honestly.
Yeah, but everybody hates him.
Everyone hates him, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I got to read his book though. I've heard it's interesting.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I've heard it's
Oh,
good.
interesting. Okay.
No, I just think of if I were to go back into like 90s coach frauds, that he's my number one.
Ooh.
I think he had a lot of players that made him look real good and extended his life. But when you're talking about,
I'm going to say Scotty Bowman. No, I mean,
yeah, okay, all right. Now the next
here,
thing-
clip that. Put it out there.